Everybody Googles everything, especially potential customers or employers, and a business or personal online reputation can make or break you. If negative search results or reviews are impacting you, Webamax is here to help. Our proven process restores your online reputation quickly and effectively, and it matters. Don't let negative results control your narrative. Visit GoWebamax.com and fill out a brief confidential form to see how we can help. Remember, if you aren't paying attention to your online reputation, someone else is. GoWebamax.com.
It's time for today's Lucky Land horoscope with Victoria Cash.
Life's gotten mundane, so shake up the daily routine and be adventurous with a trip to Lucky Land. You know what they say, your chance to win starts with a spin. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com to play over 100 social casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
Available to players in the U.S., excluding Washington and Michigan. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+. It's time for today's Lucky Land horoscope with Victoria Cash.
Life's gotten mundane, so shake up the daily routine and be adventurous with a trip to Lucky Land. You know what they say, your chance to win starts with a spin. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com to play over 100 social casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
Available to players in the U.S., excluding Washington and Michigan. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
It's Saturday and the game is on.
Well, yes, because Willy just turns and shoots.
He's
just
taking them.
They're
what you want a
shots.
forward to do.
Oh, no, they're
you
horrible
want a forward
shots.
to take shots.
I could get out there and take a bunch of terrible. I can kick it into the shins of a guy standing directly in front of me. That's all Willy ever does. He gets the ball and he kicks it in front of to a guy that's standing right in front of him. It's JV stuff. It's not good enough for this league. It's not good enough for this team. I don't care if he's the backup. He's not good enough.
Anything to shake this monument. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another shade of blue. We are the KC Soccer Journal. My name is Cody Bradley. Thad Bell and Mike Kuhn are here in the studio with me. 10 games, boys. 10 games without a win. 7 losses in a row.
We sucked.
And don't look now, but the MLS single season record is 12. Thad, we're not that far off. We're over halfway there.
It's probably always interesting to be able to set a record in a record book.
Even if it's a terrible one?
I didn't say it was good. That's why I searched for a word there really quick. I was like, it's interesting.
You're the no press is, or any press is bad press. Did I just say that right?
No press is bad press.
No press is bad. Yeah, but you're talking about it, right? No, this is not a good record to have, Thad.
Was that your like Saturday morning DJ voice? Yeah, but now you're talking about it. Okay, what was it? And then going out to the beach.
So, are we actually going to have to talk about this game? Mike, are you going to help us talk about this game? Thank you for joining us this week.
I can.
Okay. You drove all the way here, right?
I don't know if I want to, but I can talk about it, sure.
Yeah, don't put out the effort if you're not going to, do it.
Well,
wait, that applies to sporting.
You got all the way here. You should at least try.
I should probably at least try.
So the quote from Vermes after the game, other than the 3 goals, there was a lot of good stuff. So other than the reasons we lost, it wasn't all bad. But you know what? I'm going to play along with that. I like it. I don't know what else he's supposed to say at this point. 7 losses in a row. There's no words that you could say that will sound good. We're going to tear apart any of the words that he says, just to be fair there. But this was, Jimmy shared something that was like a carbon copy exactly from last week of what he said. You could have just copy and pasted it. But I'll play along with this. Other than the 3 goals, Thad, there was a lot of good stuff. What good stuff did you see?
I think a few players showed that they care to play and want to play.
Okay.
Vargas.
Okay. Who are they?
Vargas.
Johnny Russell, at least over the last 20 minutes.
Johnny. Everything we've ever wanted from Johnny. What a guy.
He just hasn't been doing it a lot lately.
I know.
But that goal was nice. I mean, that was a lot of goodness right there. There's just, if we could package that, duplicate it, triple that, and quadruple that.
Well, we've been duplicating it all season. I mean,
Well, I
we're
just meant
overperforming
the
our
goodness.
expected goals by like 12 now.
Ugh. Well, it's really a
that
shame.
is sad.
Yeah, we are not, like, all of our goals are, like I mentioned somewhere, we have more goals from distance than I think we have tap-ins this season.
Oh, no, that's 100%.
'Cause
Absolutely.
we are so outperforming our expected goals right now. It's not even funny anymore.
So you're saying the effort is good.
No, it doesn't even mean that. These bangers go in because nothing else is going right, and a player's just like, F it, I'm kicking it from all the way out here, and it happens to go in.
They're taking their moments. It's good, smart play.
Okay, that's fair.
Man, I've never been the one that wants this to be on video because I'm not a guy who needs my face on video. But you should probably it would be a good time to see the facial reactions of me and Mike and Cody on this conversation.
No, I really liked Johnny at the end of that game. It was not even just that goal. There was another one where the ball kind of bounced around in the box, and I think Pulido and Willy Agada both missed it, and Johnny just comes full force in there, flying in from the edge of the box, just throws his body there. He didn't get it. That dude, that was in the 95th minute. And that's at least the fight at the end of that game is something you want to see. Our team is not good. Our team is struggling, but we had some boys out there that were not giving up.
And I think that's always going to be the biggest question is, are they giving up?
Well, and based off at least all of them aren't. I mean, I would say Russell hasn't given up.
Well, Willy definitely gave up on that one play. I'll tell you that right now.
I was ready to bring that up after we talked about Johnny fighting for
No,
that
see,
cross
hold on.
from
Hold
shallow.
on. We're getting ahead of ourselves, guys. We're trying to do the good stuff. We're still on the good stuff. I don't know that we've covered all of them. We got Alenis Vargas. We didn't talk enough about Vargas. That foul that he earned was a carbon copy of one of the videos they released of him from preseason, where he just beats a guy down the wing, muscles in front of them, draws the foul. It was a PK in the preseason one. But doing that kind of stuff is why he earned a spot on the team. And honestly, I thought we were going to see more of him or more of that this year, but it did come to fruition. That was a great run.
Yeah, I was hoping to see more of him this year. Just I think early on he wasn't adapting to MLS as fast as maybe.
Yeah.
But maybe now he's getting the time and will. Again, he even though I liked a lot of what he did, it wasn't enough, and I don't think they used him as well. I remember a game early in the year that Peter had said that the team didn't use Vargas the way they'd hoped to.
Right.
Because you got to play the ball out into space for him to run onto. So he can just outrun guys, and they weren't always doing that.
Well,
they didn't do a lot.
Let's also, I mean, I don't want to go away from let's talk about the good, but you're taking away from Minnesota in that, and Minnesota shutting down Vargas in that situation. It's the same thing that happened with Vancouver when we played them. The first 30 minutes or so, Vargas looked great, we looked great, and then Vancouver adjusted their makeup to account for the fact that Vargas was burning them on the wing, and the entire team disappeared for the last 15 minutes of the first half and the rest of the game mostly.
Well, and when your game is play long to somebody and the other team makes adjustments and has people who can at least approximate the speed and play the angles, you have to find another way to make an attack now.
Mike, you said the Sporting looked great. I don't know if they looked great. They looked fine, acceptable at one
great.
point. Or both teams looked great or something. Maybe I misheard that, but no, it was they struggled most of the match. We'll get into all of that. But again, still happy things. Another thing on Vargas. He just has everything you want in a prospect. He's got good size, he's got good strength, the good speed. I don't know about anything else though. It's still all coming along. I saw some rough passes.
Yeah, that's not his strength.
Right. And it's all just raw talent. And I hope that if we can keep getting him on the field, that eventually turns into something.
He is a guy who's only played organized soccer for 3 or 4 years.
Yes,
so
this is I was about to ask that. I'm glad you said that. I always get that confused with Afrifa. I couldn't remember which one of them only started when they were 19 or 17 or whatever it was.
No,
but yeah,
Frifa's the guy who went to college.
Yeah, okay.
for what
Okay.
that's worth.
Yeah, so Afrifa, just a few years in the game and even fewer for first team minutes, and he already is doing good things. So,
Vargas,
yeah,
you said Afrifa.
I did. Vargas. That's about as positive as it gets from this game, I think, was Vargas, right?
Was there any other positives?
We got Johnny's goal. Thad, what did you think of Janice? He didn't look horrible.
Is that our positive now?
That's about as positive as you're going to get from me on Marino's Janice.
I mean, it's on our rundown on the positive. Marino's Jonis looked decent. And I'll be honest, I was actually surprised he's the one that subbed out when Johnny came in. I thought maybe they would let him go a little bit longer because he wasn't looking bad.
Yeah. Well, I thought the same with Vargas. I thought Vargas should have stayed on there too.
Yeah, he wasn't being effective at that point.
Yeah.
But
well, no one was being effective on the field this game.
This game?
The last 7, how about that?
10, last 10?
I mean, I'd even just go as far as the last 3. I mean, have the last 3 games basically been carbon copies to anybody else?
Yeah, feels like it. Consolation goal after not doing a lot.
Are we seeing any signs of life though? Like last year, and we talked about the first 10 games, 3 draws, 7 losses, yada yada. But you started to see the last couple games, like, okay, maybe they're getting something.
No, I think it's going the opposite. But it's also hard to say, like, they're changing the lineup every week now.
Yeah.
Like, they're just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Because you're absolutely right. You're not having your best lineups even remotely out there
Yeah.
because of injury.
Yeah. One thing, I just thought it was funny. You can see they are trying literally everything, including Kyrie at outside back. But the craziest one of all is that Vermes tried sitting this game. He tried to stay on the bench, talking to his assistants. And it was even so noticeable that the announcer had to comment about it, that he's always up on the sideline, palms to the sky, screaming at something. But he was like, you know what? This isn't working. I'm going to sit my ass on the bench this time, see if that works. They're trying everything.
Just didn't have any other ideas, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's not a lot of other options, like trying other people. And again, this is a bad run for him to be out of form anyway because of 5 games, 15 days, travel, blah, 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 injuries. It's a bad time to be out of form, and there's not a lot of options to try other than, okay, do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
Well, for how much everyone claims that we're optimists and that we're too positive about this team, I really thought we were going to get something more that would brighten my day a little better out of that. All we got's Alenis Vargas. That's pretty much it.
We have Mike here. That's just taking care of it all. Talk, Mike.
Is there nothing else? Johnny's goal. Well, Johnny's goal was great. We mentioned it, but that was a great goal. Yeah. Well taken.
Yeah. I mean, there's just, you think about seasons, you think about games, and you remember moments and stuff from like you say, hey, you remember that game against Vancouver or that game against Portland, and people are like, oh yeah, I remember this moment. The only thing that anybody's going to remember from this is Johnny's goal. That's it. It was a forgettable game.
Yeah.
Other than that.
I think we might remember Kyrie's assist.
A great pass from Kyrie on that goal.
We're being positive. I thought we were being positive.
That's good.
I wasn't going to I wasn't going to mention the fact that our outside back assisted for the second straight game to the other team.
And I don't actually blame him nearly as much as I did Tim Leibold on the other one because that was just so obvious. This one, he was trying to clear the ball somewhere and it just didn't go quite right.
And that skill where a defender does that and hits it behind him, I think that's what he was supposed to do there was clear it behind him instead of across the goal like that. Yeah. But I've always hated that. That's something I've never been able to do. If a ball's coming at me like that, it's not an easy skill to do that, backing up and get it over your head like that.
You could just duck.
And you don't know what's behind you. And yes, he should have just ducked as well.
But he doesn't know. And it's not his normal spot. Yeah. It's hard to track everything.
And it's not his position.
Yeah.
Asking the guy to play out of position. I don't have a lot of sympathy for Kyrie. He can get on there and make that money anyway, you know?
Ah, man.
I showed sympathy for Kyrie. I'm just saying I don't have a lot of sympathy for him.
He's a super nice guy.
He is.
He's doing absolutely his best, and he's trying. He's putting out the effort. And
He is.
After the Vancouver game, one of the questions to him was, about the team, losing it, or I forget the phrase, but he said something about how he put his, if we aren't putting our arm around our teammates and trying to lift them up, then it's all over. And he goes, I haven't seen that yet, and we're still lifting up our teammates.
Yeah.
So I think in that regard,
It's a good line.
It was a good line. It was a good comment, and I think it's not untrue, but it might be getting closer to true.
Yeah, if anything, I think Vermes is the one that's been unfair to Kyrie on just his insistence of, I'm going to prove the fans wrong and that Kyrie's going to get in there and I'm going to put him in any spot in bad positions and it's just going to work. I'm going to make it work.
It's not that, though. It's not Peter like, I'm proving fans wrong. It's Peter having a guy that he can drop into a couple spots, and because who else?
And what? Finish that. You can drop him into a couple spots, and what happens?
Okay, not be terrible is where I was going to go.
Okay.
That was a mistake in this last game, but the Vancouver game when he came in, he was pretty good. He was good, I would say, at that spot.
Yeah.
He didn't make any mistakes when the other left back, who plays left back as a normal, the left back makes the pass down the middle. So maybe he's copying that guy. I don't know. Again, I know it was just a mistake. He's a guy who he may not be, and Peter's very honest. Like when we talked to him, I talked to him before this game, saying something about Kyrie, and he's like, he's obviously not been in form in his normal spot, but he puts out this and he does that, and he's trying to find a spot. But who else was going to play right back?
Literally, like who?
That's the point. There wasn't anybody to play that spot. So you put Kyrie out there, and he doesn't do a terrible job majority of the time at right back. It's not his spot. It's not easy to just go in and go from being a forward and a winger and this and that to being a defender.
Back to the Johnny goal. Thad, you said the tricks aren't, he hasn't been doing that. The tricks aren't always working. And it is a shame that thing doesn't work as much as it did when he was 28 and 29. But it does still work sometimes. And it's a shame that he's at the stage of his career and that the team isn't good enough to use that off the bench properly, to get the real value of that off the bench. If we had a really good team that was scoring goals, we were in a good spot every game, you bring Johnny Russell off the bench, fresh legs in the 75th minute, he's running right at 3 defenders, causing chaos. That would be so valuable, and he does still have a banger like this in him. And it's just a shame we're wasting the ending years of his career with a terrible team.
I know when I've talked about it, he doesn't have the tricks as much as he did before, but remember in the early days, he was splitting defenders left and right. I mean, that was his skill.
He still does it. It just doesn't work as often.
And this goal was more like the early Eric Tommy goal this season when he, I think in the first game where he dribbled and everybody thought, all the defenders screwed up, but you do enough moving and twisting and changing angles just a little bit, and the defenders can't make that mistake or don't want to make that mistake, and then all of a sudden there's an open spot and he shoots.
It's that I made that comparison to that guy on the basketball court that's running around all crazy and just chucks up a random shot, and you're like, oh, okay, well, how did that go in? Come on, man. A little bit like that.
No, it was a lot more skill.
More skill than that, but that's what you were alluding to on that Eric Tommy goal. That's what I thought of that one.
Well, it's not what I was alluding to, but I can see why you went that way.
Okay,
but
I'm sorry.
A good dribbler can force defenders to make choices, right? And in the situation when you got 3 defenders on you, nobody wants to make the mistake and just wipe you out and take the yellow card that late in the game, right? So they tend to try to corral you and hope somebody else does it. And then you keep making that move until you've gained enough distance and you gain a little spot, and then you take the shot. That's what Eric Tommy did. That's kind of what Johnny did. It's not enough, obviously.
Johnny doesn't take time to have a finesse or the right skills or moves. It's just he just charges at you. It's I'm taking a risk every touch and seeing what happens. It's not slow and skillful. It's just direct and strong is how he does it, and just smash through there, and maybe the ball will end up at my feet in front of the goal.
Well, how much of that slow is the other players, and how much of that is how Peter wants them to play?
Right.
A lot of that is the way Peter wants them to play. If they don't see the initial run, pull it back, cycle it around, do something else. And a lot of people get very upset about that, and I don't think that's always the wise choice. Sometimes, and I think they are trying right now to not do that as much and play more. Peter mentioned this time, we're going more direct. We're doing this more direct. We're doing direct because that's the players they has to put out there. Vargas, Afrifa. I don't think Willy is as much as good as being direct as those guys are, but that's what they have. They don't have all the skill. They don't have the possession game right now that they would want to have. Not even close because of between injuries and form and confidence and fan support and
Well, I was trying to.
no popcorn.
I was about to segue out of how we were being all positive and the Mr. Brightside aspect of this, but you
Did
were
we
ending.
ever get in the bright
no,
side?
we never really did.
we that train sailed. That ship sailed a long time ago. We've been on the negative side of this for a good 15 minutes now.
Okay,
It
well,
sailed last night.
we tried. We tried the Mr. Brightside thing. Other than the 3 goals, there was a lot of good stuff. We didn't come up with a lot of good things, but Alenis Vargas is the key there, and Johnny's fight. Those are the 2 good ones.
Okay, so I'll be positive for just a second.
Okay.
I think a lot of the play was not bad at all. It wasn't spectacular. Okay, again, Vargas had a good moment. There was some good in how the team played. It just wasn't good enough. So if you look at the game and if you don't know that it's Sporting and you don't know that how bad they've played and you don't have any preconceptions about all this other stuff, a team on the road, 5 games, 15 days, injuries to key players, and you look at that and go, man, they didn't do bad except for 3 fucking mistakes.
No, I even disagree with that. Like, there's really nothing in the stats that you can look at that say that that it was good.
Eye
other than that.
test versus stats.
Now
test wasn't there either though.
I
was
agree.
a very bland game.
But you're that I know we know each other, right? We've been doing this a while. You're doing that through the lens that it wasn't the full lineup. You're looking at like they kind of tried some things, they threw some guys out there.
5 games,
and it
15 days, injuries, no midfielders, blah, 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 all that stuff. And yes, I'm looking at it through that lens. But at the same time, if you walked up to that game and said, who's this team? Oh, they've played 5 games. Again, it wasn't the prettiest game, but and nobody's saying that. I'm not defending that.
I think you need to know everything that's been going on with Sporting to not look at the team last night. This person you're describing that walks up and sees it. I think you would have to know things about Sporting and the position they're in order to not go, damn, that team is not very good. Because it was bad last night. There's my segue. It was bad. 0.8 on the XG. The Apple broadcast said 0.6, but that is always wrong. Why there's a discrepancy between MLSsoccer.com and their own broadcasts, I don't know. But 0.8 on the XG.
It's amended over time.
Okay, 0.8 on XG, 1 shot on goal, and 419 useless passes.
And to be fair, it's gone down to 0.76 now.
Okay.
Rounding.
Okay, yeah, you had an extra decimal point there. Yeah. So no, Thad, there just simply wasn't enough there. I think if you just walked up, you'd say this team is really bad. The midfield was just a disaster. There's no attacking player in the midfield, and you could feel that. They resorted to longer balls out of the back, and I know
That's what teams have to do.
You had the guy with Alenis, you had a guy to do it in there, but also they were just forced into it because there's no one in the midfield that starts an attack.
But that goes to Thad's point about 5 games, 15 days, players not healthy. I mean, does Sporting win this game with Tommy and Voltaire out there?
No.
But do they make a difference?
Maybe, but
I mean, well, so we're talking about the good and the bad. This is something that actually shocked me because of how bad Sporting's been this year. That was their first multi-goal loss. They had all their other losses this year have been by a single goal.
Well, it was in the losing streak, right?
No, all season.
Really?
They have not lost a single game by more than a goal until last night.
Oh, wow. That's pretty crazy.
I had to double check that. But yeah, every single game they've lost this year has been by 1 goal up until last night.
So they were close.
Yeah, they've been close in every single...
You're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, I'm saying there's a chance, but But, I mean, with Tommy and Voltaire, hey, it's another 1 goal loss, and hey, we're still
Oh,
crap.
no,
They're
I
just
don't
a little
feel
less crap.
I don't feel any better about this game
No.
if it was 1 or 2.
I
No.
don't really either. We were talking about the good and the bad, and that was one thing that was like super surprising to me.
Sort of, kind of, maybe
Worse?
half-ass good? I don't know.
Because it was worse because we lost by 2.
Well, actually, I'd say that I would have felt better if this game was down to 1 goal, if Willy didn't just decide to fall over in the box in front of the goal. If that goes in, they made it fun for me for the last 5 minutes, and that's all you can hope for a team that's losing and a terrible team that's in last place.
And if Willy puts that in somehow and it does become a 1-goal game, how did the final 7-8 minutes when you add stoppage time turn out?
That's what I mean.
You never know.
At least
right?
make it exciting.
Maybe
for
they
me.
steal points off the other team, and that's probably why all those games were 1-goal games, is because it was always giving them up from being in the lead.
But that was embarrassing. That will be one that I remember. You said the only thing people remember from this is Johnny's goal. I will remember this moment. I'm not going to take a victory lap about Willy Agada, although I could, because I was saying this out in a game where he scored 2 goals. But it just felt like a monumental moment, just a shift in my mentality of this team. I went from, you know what, I can still support these guys, it's fun, and then he did that, and I was just like, they're just a bunch of losers. I feel like I'm watching losers.
How many goals does Willy have this year?
He hasn't scored since April 7th.
Pretty sure he just has the 2, I think.
How many has Pulido got?
He has 3 this year.
4 across all
How many versus how many minutes?
I don't know on the minutes. Willy has more minutes at this point, doesn't he?
I don't think
No?
so, but
Maybe not.
I mean, recently, yes, but that's been this week.
The stats for Willy on the season: 35 shots, 11 on goal, 31%.
Did we ever say he was clinical?
No, he's the opposite of clinical. And again, I just don't understand this conversation. You have a striker who's not clinical. That is not a good striker. All right? I'm sorry. I know I'm just like generalizing here, but how is a striker a good striker if they're not clinical?
If he generated 35 shots and he put 65% of them on goal, he wouldn't be in Sporting Kansas City.
Okay, but this is where I'm sorry. This is one where it's like, oh, he's just a nice guy. This is where I think the problem with our roster not being good enough, the hate on MLS, we need to just suck it up with some of these guys. Willy's a nice guy, lovable guy, great smile. He did some good things, but I'm sorry. It's like he's like JV. The second he got here and was hitting in tap-in goals, I felt the same thing about him the entire time. He feels like JV.
He was never supposed to be the starting center forward. He was always, he came in because they needed somebody, right? Because they didn't have anybody. Him and Tommy comes in, they do well, but the next year he never gets back into form. Pulido gets into form, which he was always supposed to be kind of like the backup to Pulido, and now Pulido's not doing anything. So he's getting more playing time. Between the games, the congestion, all that stuff, he's getting more playing time. He's not supposed to be the starter. He's supposed to be relief or spot starter.
I'm just saying, if you're mad about our team not being good enough, this backup striker should not be in this league.
By the way, I'm just going to say they actually both have the same number of goals, 3.
Okay.
And Pulido's played 300 more minutes
This season?
this
Yes.
season.
Oh, wow.
Than
I
Willy
was pretty sure
has.
that was like that, but I didn't want to argue.
And Willy has about double the number of shots that Pulido does.
Well, yes, because Willy
He's
just turns
taking
and
them.
shoots.
He's
he just turns
taking them.
They're
That's what you
terrible
want a
shots.
forward to do.
Oh, no, they're
You want a
horrible
forward
shots.
to take shots.
I could get out there and take a bunch of terrible. I can kick it into the shins of a guy standing directly in front of me. That's all Willy ever does. He gets the ball and he kicks it in front of to a guy that's standing right in front of him. It's JV stuff. It's not good enough for this league. It's not good enough for this team. I don't care if he's the backup. He's not good enough.
He's got the same number of. Well, you should be arguing about Pulido right now. Okay?
I am, and I wrote this on here too.
He's got the same number of goals and less minutes.
Same number of goal contributions.
This
too.
is in no way a defense of Alan Pulido. Pulido has scored 4 goals since signing a new contract.
It costs a tenth of the amount of Pulido.
Since September 9th, he has scored 4 goals, and he signed a new contract on September 15th. 25 games, nearly a whole season, he has 4 goals.
Yeah. Pulido's been crap since he signed his new deal. He got paid and he checked out. Maybe not.
And I don't know that he's checked out because
I'm not
honestly,
saying
the way
he
I've seen him train, I don't see that. But
That's the way it comes across when
Yeah.
he's only scored 4 goals in 25 games.
And I get that. I totally understand, because if I didn't see him train, I would probably think the same thing just based upon the stats. But also this year, he's one of the critiques of him previously was he would drift too far back in the midfield and stuff like that, and he wouldn't always be there to be in the box to get the goals. Well, now he's being pushed back farther by the design of the formation a lot of the times. So the 4-2-3-1, when he's in the center of the three, he's even farther back because Willy's in front of him, and he's got more responsibilities to be back by this definition of that formation. My biggest problem with him isn't that he's doing that. That is when he gets the chance to be running into the box, he goes, I'm going to run out to the side and then cross it in. Before he would take that shot, he would find a little lane, he would do something to get that shot at least going towards goal. Sometimes he missed, sometimes he hit frame, sometimes he scored.
Now you're getting back to my issues with him from the Portland game.
It's been a lot this year. It's been a lot this year that he has done this thing.
Yeah, both strikers are trash at the moment. And I only got more heated about Willy is because I was hating on him, but I made a point on the podcast to not just actually hate and just try to remain respectful, and I still got called a hater. And I was right. So that's the only reason I got defensive about that.
You got called a hater because you want us to be controversial in the program, so I yell at you sometimes.
No, this was at a time where it was like everyone's like, oh, the team's not good enough. But the second I actually talk about one of the players not being good enough, everyone's like, oh, you're a hater.
Maybe there was other people to talk about.
Well, but that is fair. I mean, you say the team sucks, but then if you argue about
seriously, that's
unless it's a player that the person wants you to specifically trash on,
right,
usually Kyrie Shelton, then they will. They want you to trash the team other than the players they like. Like, for example, I'm going to go to the game and I'm going to trash a player that a lot of people like. Jake Davis needs to learn how to track players on the back post. The first goal last night, third, fourth time this year that had a ball to the back post, he has not tracked his runner and the other team has scored. I like Jake. He's a good player. He's did great in an emergency situation, but he desperately needs to learn how to track back post runners if he wants to continue to be a right back in this league, which is probably his best position in MLS at this point. So yes, I will trash one of our players that's well-liked.
Good job.
At this point, you're right. That is probably his best spot. And it is still a difficulty learning to be a defender when you've been a midfielder all of your life. But so I'm not saying that's okay. He does need to be better at some of that stuff. And I think last night, again, that may be one of those that comes into play of 5 games in 15 days because he's played a lot of minutes in those 5 games. And the runner was coming down, stopped, and he took one more step, caught flat-footed. That's why the guy was wide open. I'm not defending it, just saying that's what happened.
I will.
That was one time.
That
was one goal. There's been multiple times this year.
Yeah,
it's not a new thing with him at the back
It's not
post.
a new thing with a lot of guys who have played defense most of their lives.
Yeah, guys, this goal, I was really upset at Tim Melia for yelling at Jake on this one. And I had already seen the replay at this point. But I know if you just look at the slow-mo of that goal, Jake is 1.5 feet away from this guy when it hits his head. But I don't know. Watch this at full speed. Someone who knows defending better than me, please tell me how there's anything else someone can do. These two players are running one direction. Jake has his entire arm around him. He's tracking him. He's probably fouling him. He's on the line of doing what you're not supposed to do. He's grabbing a guy that came into the box. Then Oluwaseun just puts his arm out while, again, their momentum is going one way. He just pushes his arm out, so his momentum stops. Jake keeps going, and the pass was absolutely perfect. The ball just happened to go right on Oluwaseun's head, and I think he only knew about 75% that he scored that goal. The ball came directly on his head, and it is 1/10 of a second after the separation from Jake. I do not understand. I will rag on defenders for missing their spots, but I've watched this goal several times, and I don't understand what else a human is supposed to do. Maybe you could say he's supposed to be a little stronger. He's not a big, strong, giant dude. That's not what he's ever going to do. And I don't know how. It's just if someone pushes you for one split second, there's going to be some separation. And that ball came a tenth of a second after he pushes off from Jake.
It was pretty much a perfect play.
Perfect pass. The most perfect pass I've ever seen.
It pretty much was perfect by Minnesota. But just like a goalie, defenders have to never make a mistake. Because you can make a mistake. You can make mistakes as a forward and like, oh, I missed a ball or I missed a shot or I missed a pass. And no, it's not a big deal. Anything you miss as a defender gets amplified because it goes back on goal.
Yeah.
And when the team's not in form, that ball goes in the back of the net. If you're in form, you're having a little bit of luck, the ball goes wide or goes high or whatever. If Willy was taking that shot, it would have went high. Okay.
Yes.
It's just the way it is.
Or right at the keeper.
Yeah.
Or right into the defender standing in front of him.
Or a foot to the left of the post, because he's done a lot of those lately too.
No, and Mike, you're right. I know Jake has been in that situation multiple times. This one, I wasn't sure. I didn't like all of the hate. The announcer was going after him too, really hard. And then again at halftime went after him again. So yeah, I just didn't like that.
It kept cutting back to him on the camera too.
If you ask me,
leave the guy alone.
The second goal is the worst one of all of them. That one just looked too easy. That was the one off the throw-in, right? Where Danny just gets sprinted past. He looked so old, looked so embarrassing, and it was just way too easy of a goal. That's one, more so Danny on that goal looked worse than I think Jake on the first one.
I'm not going to argue. I mean, the Rosero looked bad. I believe it was Memo that was tracking Robin Laud originally. And then Basson couldn't keep up with him either. And so, I mean, there was a calamity of errors on that goal. If we're going to talk about tracking runners coming into the box. So, I mean, it also, I think, says something that shortly after that, Rosero was pulled. And after Rosero was pulled, you saw Vermes actually, it was a wide shot, but Vermes was down talking to him as they were standing up inside the technical area. And that's not usually something you see with the subs. And I'll also say that Radoja didn't look too pleased to be coming off either when he got subbed out. So, I mean, the second goal was some just all-around bad play on another throw-in that was the problem against Vancouver on their first goal on Wednesday night.
Overall, nobody is playing well. Nobody. Even the bright spots when we put them out there. All right, might be individual plays, but nobody's playing well.
Yeah, the bright spots are flashes at this point.
And I still wonder if you can say the team is playing a little better, putting out the effort or whatever. But overall, the team is not playing well. If you want to go back to the roster thing, you can trash the roster, and you can trash because if you look at who should be starting the starting 11 who we would think would be the best 11. I will not say any of those players don't deserve to be on another MLS team as a starter. The problem is collectively they are not good enough. It's not like this player isn't good enough to be on a roster. It's that all of them would be maybe the ninth guy on the roster, but they all need to be the first or second or third guy on the roster, and they're not.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm Victoria Cash. Thanks for calling the Lucky Land Hotline. If you feel like you do the same thing every day, press 1. If you're ready to have some serious fun for the chance to redeem some serious prizes, press 2. We heard you loud and clear. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com right now and play over 100 social casino-style games for free. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
Available to players in the U.S., excluding Washington and Michigan. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're back. That first segment, we kind of jumped around. Our rundown for this episode doesn't entirely really make much sense anymore, but a few more things to talk about here, and it's hopefully not all doom and gloom. Couple new lineups in the past games, Mike. Is anyone earning themselves more minutes? We talked about Vargas. You got to think he's going to get some more minutes out of this.
Vargas, I think Jonis has looked to maybe get a few more minutes.
Well, he was at
forward.
like 0.
Yeah, he
so.
didn't. Yeah, it's hard to not get more minutes from where he was at coming into the last 2 games. So,
Basong, he didn't make it long in this one.
the Vancouver game, he was not great.
Yeah.
In
No, he had some bad moments in this one too.
I mean, the header on the 3rd goal aside, I'm going to say Shelton. Actually,
Shelton played himself into more time.
Well, to be fair, Shelton's in a similar category to Jonis, where he doesn't exactly have a whole lot of minutes to begin with. But I mean, he was less bad than most of the other players that were out on the field.
Good God!
Okay, but where, if you're going to put Kyrie in for more minutes, where?
Don't worry, I'll wait.
No, I don't have. I mean,
do we have Jeopardy music?
Vermes will put him at right back again.
Yeah, he would
in place of Davis, and have Davis sit a game probably. So I won't be surprised if Shelton's starting against Seattle this weekend.
Someone remind me where Caden Pierre is.
Hurt
again?
Yes.
What part of his body?
Ankle sprain from the Omaha game, if I remember right.
Yeah, somebody fouled him bad there.
Right.
And he does look like he's coming back close to it. So I wonder if he might actually be with the 2 team today.
Okay.
Because they play today in an
Lineup
hour
from soon.
From now. We'll circle back to that because I'm sure we'll still be talking when that comes out. But yeah, that I would actually not mind seeing Jake back in the midfield a little bit. To like Jake and Memo.
For lack of options.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lack of options, but Jake and Memo might be an interesting combination because he was out there with Felipe, who.
Or just how about the idea that we moved him to a new position? He has done his duty and done it well, done what's been asked of him, and maybe he deserves another look at his old position now that he's got some confidence and knows he can play the game.
Problem is, he still needs to be a right back since there are too many injuries and issues. I mean, it's great to have players who can play in multiple spots. I think usually right back and midfield is not usually the 2 interchangeable spots. But I mean, it has happened, Espinoza.
Well, and I mean, as players get healthy, because in theory, Voltaire and Tommy should be getting healthy.
I'm not.
Davis falls down the depth chart. At the midfield,
maybe.
Right, but I mean, you still have the right back spot. Who, unless Caden comes back, there's so many questions we don't know.
The prophecy of Caden Pierre returning,
Voltaire
after hundreds of years.
I mean, Remy, when he's healthy, he puts in more minutes out there, puts in more miles, etc., than anybody. And again, he may not be a superstar for a lot of other teams, but he puts in the effort and does all the stuff. But the problem is, he's been hurt since that one game, and he's just not getting back on the field.
Remy is a very good MLS player. Is very good below great. I don't want to say great, but I felt comfortable saying very good. He's a very good MLS player. He's not great.
He's a well above average.
Well above average. Okay.
So
is that below really good?
Yes.
Well, define
well
really
above,
good.
Yeah, well above average.
Give me an example of a really good player.
Well, Remy. He's the one I just called really good.
Another really good player.
Okay,
somebody that I can compare Remy to.
Who would I call well above average then? And this is how I'll compare it.
Do a 1 to 10.
Well, I just want to rank. I think in my head it goes.
Remy at in terms of MLS quality, with 10 being Lionel Messi and 1 being
careful.
3rd string goalkeeper on New England, whoever that is.
You had a chance to make a joke about a Sporting KC player
I'm not going to make a joke about a Sporting KC player. I'm going to go with a player I don't know who probably doesn't even know I exist.
You literally went with a nameless player.
Yes, a nameless player. I would put Remy at a 7.
I knew you were going to say that. That's well above average.
Like I said.
No, that's not well above average. It's above average.
5 is average. Above average is 6. Well above average is 7.
Okay, great. 9 to 10.
Very good is
amazing
7
is
to
10.
8.
Amazing would be 10. Great would be 8 or 9.
I think we're
above
all
average. 6, 7.
I think we're all
average,
at least in agreement on the hierarchy.
6 to 4.
Of all of them, we've said it goes well above average, really good, great, then amazing. Right? We're all on board with that? Okay. It's what we'll use going forward on this show.
Can we color code him?
Remy's not an all-star, but he is a quality regular starter in MLS.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna pin you down on something, Mike. If you had the chance to, you're named the coach, GM, soccer god of Sporting Kansas City tomorrow. You have the ability to wipe out every single contract and keep or delete players as you will with no repercussions.
We're doing the burn it down game.
Do you keep Remy Voltaire?
Pondering. We're doing a radio show here.
This is not Mike's forte.
I would lean towards yes. He is one of the few that I would lean towards yes.
Yes, we did this the show one time already, and yeah, we all kind of landed on Remy.
Yeah, Remy stays. Eric Tommy?
Tommy is a yes.
Nope.
Yeah, no, Tommy
Yes.
stays.
Yeah, he may not be a starter on my team.
Tommy, right now, Tommy is the team's MVP.
Yeah, but the team's terrible.
Which says more about the team than it does Tommy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So yes, Voltaire and Tommy are two of the players that I'd keep.
Radoya.
Probably not.
Yeah, he makes too much money.
I'm not even looking at money.
You can't see me point, but yes, that's the I can't differentiate their contract from
I like
their
Radoya
player.
For sure, Radoya,
Yes.
but when I did see that contract, I was like, oh, that's maybe more than I thought.
I would not, if I have, even if it's a tammable DP at the 6, I want more out of that 6 than what we're getting.
Okay, I'm reeling this back in here. Let's go back to the.
Damn it! I like derailing you.
Let's go back to the. Has anyone else earned any minutes? Because there's a lot of other players that have been getting time here. How about we talked about Danny Rosero being replaced? One of those other center backs is Castellanos. Is Castellanos going to get more time, especially if Peter's not happy with Rosero's performance?
He would be the one that would take his spot, in my opinion,
as opposed to Volader.
Yes, I think Volader, because of Vermes presumably getting upset with how Rosero handled goal 2, Volader got himself out of the doghouse from the Houston game?
From his most recent
mess up, basically, to get back onto the field. So, I would put Castellanos ahead of Volader. And so, I could see Castellanos getting minutes. I assume Fontas hasn't been put in the doghouse and just getting rested because he's old.
So I think we decided
soccer terms.
Basong was maybe going the other way as opposed to playing himself into more minutes. Felipe. What about Felipe Hernandez? How has he been doing in recent matches, Thad?
I forgot he was on the field.
Not a good sign.
That was Mike, by the way. I did remember he was on the field.
To be fair, I listened to the first half on the radio on the way home last night. I don't remember them calling his name once.
No,
and that was the problem with our midfield. There's just not a guy to take a ball and make something happen. We got a couple destroyers, a couple, defensive guys in there, but nothing to actually create in the offense, which led to one shot on goal.
On a decent, healthy team, he's a good option to be a come off the bench or a spot minutes, but he's not an MLS starter right now. And we had high hopes for him when he was young, and then he had to sit out a season essentially, and all that stuff derailed his career. And I don't know what else is going on. He seemed to come back a little bit after that stuff, but it just never grew. He wasn't good enough to be a starter. And
well, what's weird
is where we're at.
Is he in the Open Cup? He knows he's better than that talent level. Like, he was playing with swag, and it's like he knows that he's better than that.
Not in Omaha. He wasn't that good.
He got pulled at half.
Peter called him out on it.
Yeah.
And very much said that when played against Tulsa, he was far better than he was against Omaha, which is a higher level team.
Yes, I was thinking the Tulsa game, but I just mean it's like he knows he can be better than that, but he hasn't unlocked another level in MLS yet. And that's what makes me think we've just hit his ceiling. Like, this is how good he is. And I don't know.
At this point, it may be. Yeah. I mean, he's how old is he, Mike?
26, or he's about to turn 26. If I remember right.
Honestly, anybody who's over the age of 23, I'm considering they've pretty much hit their peak.
He's
They're
25.
hitting their peak. They might refine
I'm
things.
pretty sure if you look at his birthday, he's about to turn 26.
Yeah. So,
so no, I'm on, like, because you say 23, I would throw a Frifa into that category.
Oh, yes.
He's at his peak.
well, I don't, and Frifa's a really nice guy, and I have some hopes for him, but I don't rate any college player coming out.
Felipe turns 26 this week, June 8th.
Told you.
So he can rent a car. Or is that 25? We already got that, didn't he? Rent a car on your own insurance. Thanks, Obama, for that extra year.
Was that an extra year?
You could stay on your parents' insurance one extra year longer. It was like 24 and then went to 25, or it was 25 and went to 26. Thanks, Obama. Anyway, Felipe's birthday is this week. Good for him, huh?
Happy birthday. Oh. Man, he was a very depressed sounding guy on the presser last night.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
I mean, he should be, honestly. I mean, I'm not wishing him to be depressed.
His comments were pretty much, it's, I guess, what I would say if I was in this position. It's, it's not working. We're doing everything we can. We just need to keep trying new things because it's not working. But yeah, he was pretty dejected.
And again, try new things. What is there left to try?
After Peter Vermes chose to sit on a bench for a whole game, I don't know. That's as crazy of a thing I can imagine, that he's not going to be running up and down the sideline. They've literally
he does
tried
sit
it all.
once in a while, man. I do watch over there from where I'm at, shooting games. Like that's usually, he's often in my line of sight when I'm shooting, and he does sit. It's just not as much as he did last night.
Let's take a quick break and come back and maybe talk a little more about Peter Vermes.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
All right. Mike, I know you guys did a podcast since you released your... it was a monumental day. I don't know. This is how I should have introduced this. We have not written an article like that on this site ever. And it is sad that the day finally came where someone like Mike felt the need to do that. The darkest days of our club have arrived, and Mike felt the need to write those words, and it pierces a dagger through my heart. But mainly because I don't disagree with him really at this point, or I don't know if I agree. But I know you guys have had a pod since then, so you probably talked about it a little bit, but do you have anything else, any week after thoughts, any replies to your article that you need to address, any feelings you want to get out there still?
I mean, not specifically. I'll share the same thing I shared with you guys off air. I have.
That was what I was asking you to do there. Thank you. That's how this works.
I have a lot of issues outside of what I said in the piece. In the piece, I tried to keep it only to the factual, as I said to you guys, the inarguable information, which is the stats. The fact that when I wrote the piece, we were at 1.14 points per game, which was sixth worst in the league since the start of the 2022 season. The inarguable fact that of the 9 other teams around us, the only other team that hadn't fired their coach was Atlanta. All the other 8 had all fired or removed their coach, had removed at least one coach since the start of the 2022 season.
Wow.
Those are the inarguable facts, and that's what I tried to get with, because a lot of the other stuff, my opinions about the academy and how the academy and the pro player pathway is going right now, my feelings on how Vermes is using the players, how players are brought in, the scouting network, all of that is opinion, and all of that, I have issues basically with many parts of that with Peter Vermes. So what I tried to do in the piece is just focus on the stuff that you can't argue with. You can't argue with the numbers. You can't argue with we suck. On the field, we are not getting points. We are averaging in the bottom tier of the league in points over the last 3 years, over the last 80-something games. You can't argue with that. You can argue with me about how you feel the academy is doing. You may think it's doing great. I think it's not producing. I think Vermes has made some frustrating comments about players in the KC metro area, or in Kansas City's territory, basically, when he talks about having to go outside the territory to look for players to bring in. I think there have been many players that have taken some of those comments personally with his comments on that. You can argue with me about the use of how he's gone about scouting players, how he's gone about playing players. But again, I just wanted to focus on the actual facts in the piece. Everything else I have is just my opinion on it.
And the headline was opinion, but the whole article was facts.
Me wanting him fired is my opinion,
right?
But I'm backing it up with only the facts of the situation. I want him fired for multiple reasons, but the facts are what I wanted to focus on.
For a while on the Vermes out discourse, I was wondering if we were a spoiled fan base, that if fans were overreacting to how bad things were getting. But I also never imagined it would get to this point, like actual wooden spoon in the middle of the season territory. And so I guess it's just like, how long does it possibly go on? Because you look at any other team around the world, it's I guess I've gone from where it was, maybe I was wondering if it was spoiled, to no, we, for a decade, were one of the best teams in Major League Soccer. We have a standard here. We want to be one of the best teams in the league. If Tottenham or Chelsea or whoever were all of a sudden down at the bottom of the Premier League, they would be calling for multiple people's heads. They'd want new owners at that point. And so I don't think it's being spoiled at this point. We have standards as a fan base. And the crazy part of this is that the guy that built that up, the guy that set the standard, is the one that is in charge of everything. And so if it's gone stale now, then that's on him. But so it's like, we have this standard of we are one of the best clubs in this league, and if we're not meeting that, we got to do it. And so that's the crazy part of this, is the guy that built it up is now the one that has to be at the center of this if he's in control of everything. I don't like just blaming him for it, because I think Bliss and Jake Reed and everyone is at fault for things going stale in recent years. But if Peter's in control of all things in the soccer aspect of this, yes, he deserves all the credit for making the fans feel like we're one of the best in the league, and we should be there every year. He gets all of that credit. But if he's in control of all the soccer things and all of the soccer things are going terrible, then I don't know what to do. I don't know what else to do.
Problem is, nobody else does either. Again, I'm going to leave opinions out of it as much as possible, but obviously the team is not doing well. The roster is struggling. Whether it's whatever factor came into play, it's still under his purview to have built that, no matter who else had influence on that. He is responsible for everything. And this is the sad part about sports, is no matter how good you were at one point, there is almost no managers that leave on their own accord at the end.
Yeah.
Sir Alex Ferguson
stares in Jurgen Klopp.
So there's never heard of that guy. I'm kidding. But I mean, there's very few people who leave after that many years of success. And I mean, Manchester United was the gold standard in Premier League for how many years, Mike? Quite a while.
Not anymore, man. I can't even remember those days. That was so long ago.
I know.
Manchester United sucks.
That was a different time back then. It was a different day before all the oil money rolled in from corrupt Middle Eastern states. But again, I don't have a dog in the fight over there, so that I'm just giving Cody crap. But it's just the way it is. It's at some point, almost every manager has to be told to leave. The problem with Peter is going to be, it is going to not be an easy thing to do because there's nobody in that club that isn't there because of him right now. There isn't like a person from before him that could step back in or something like this. They're all gone.
Yeah.
Well, and look at it from this aspect. Sporting ownership, and this isn't to excuse it, hasn't had to do a search for a coach or technical director or director of soccer as it is in other situations since they hired Peter Vermes and Kurt Anolfo.
Yeah, because they're just like, we don't even know where to begin on this. I don't know how to do that.
Vermes was when they fired Anolfo, Vermes was made the interim manager for the rest of the season, and then he got the full-time job after that, and he's been in that position ever since. So the ownership hasn't had to do this, and you fire Vermes, you're now doing it twice, and you're having to build everything around the coach in this situation. I mean, it's one of the things that's made me so hesitant to want to be on the fire Vermes bandwagon for a long time, because you fire Vermes, you're building everything from the bottom to the top back up with the organization, because his hands are in everything, basically.
And to be clear, your stance right now is not just getting rid of him as manager and keeping him as chief soccer officer, right? It's gone from the organization.
I don't think if you fire him as coach, I can't see him staying as in the sole position. So yes, if he's gone in one, he's gone in both.
No matter how this happens, it's going to be tumultuous. It's going to be painful. Yep. It's going to be a struggle. It's how many teams will fire a long-term coach, and then the next guy comes in, has a small bit of success, and then next year they're gone because they weren't any better. And we could go through a coach or two or three or four before you even have a good run of success again. You never know, which is, again, one of the reasons why I would be always hesitant if I was in the position to state my opinion of making that.
I agree. And now that distinction doesn't feel that different anymore, right? Like now the idea of doing the coaching carousel for a few years doesn't seem as crazy as it once did.
It doesn't seem as crazy. It's still
is
very worrisome.
Yeah.
And I will still state that I think Vermes is still a good coach. I think that they have just got to the point where they are so stale and they are in a spot where the roster is not good. And I think some of that's obviously on Vermes, some of that's on his staff, some of that probably is on ownership for maybe not ponying up enough money to bring in higher price DPs. Because remember, 2 DPs can be bought down because they're really just getting used as a method to manipulate the cap. They're not true DPs. Pulido's the only true DP on Sporting right now, and obviously he's doing really well.
If Vermes gets fired, I'm blaming not the player, I'm blaming the signing of Alan Pulido. That's
signing or the
both.
The re-signing?
The original one, because that includes the one after that, because everything that comes after that is what killed my club. Signing, finally, we wanted them to dish out money forever on a striker. After Dom left, we didn't have a striker for like 6 years or something like that. Please just spend money and get a striker. They did, and he killed our club. Like, if he gets fired, that signing historians in 20 years will look back at the signing of Alan Pulido as a monumental, detrimental moment in this club's history.
So will the lesson be don't spend a lot of money
That's what I'm worried about.
I'm worried that they won't want to put out that money. And obviously I don't think they put out that money now because even with like the U22s, I think they could have spent more money on bringing in guys. Logan and Dembe turned out pretty good last year, but the year before that, everybody's looking like, he's probably a failure too.
The whole that I will say.
You're gonna say something?
I'm gathering my thoughts. Give me a minute.
I'm gonna play that back. That was a solid 10 seconds of
here's my worry.
You almost got him like wordless there, man.
Here's my worry with firing Vermes and going down the coaching carousel, and it ties in with ownership and spending money. Is will they be willing to spend money while on the coaching carousel, while trying to find the next guy? Will they want to let's throw a name out there. Kenny Arena, the assistant at Cincinnati, seems like a good candidate as a coach. Let's say Sporting Fire Peter, bring in Kenny Arena. And will they give Kenny Arena the money to say, hey, go out and get a number 10 that you want to play for us? We'll get it. Our director of soccer will help you find the number 10 you want. We'll go out and get it. Or will
they got to find one of those first, too.
Yes, they do. They have to go do that, too.
Find another one.
But
another one.
Will ownership be willing to spend that money with the idea that Kenny Arena could suck as a head coach?
Yeah.
And they're firing him in 2 years and looking again. Will they want to spend that money and do that?
How about this? You said something on Twitter, at least I think it was you, Mike, about not even fixing anything, not even trying to do anything else this season, just because it's a dead season. I'm worried about them spending a bunch of money and bringing in a new player in this summer transfer window. Like, why even do it in this transfer window and waste a half of a season with this new player that we may get? You know what I mean?
Because it's the best window to get players from Europe
I
to come in?
I know, but it's like,
that's
okay,
the reason.
So we sign a guy for 2 years, and half of that season we're terrible and we can't do anything.
You sign them for a 2.5-year contract or a 3.5-year contract.
Okay, well, still, that's 1/5 of the contract he's going to be playing on a terrible team that we can't do anything. You know what I mean?
Have you MLS'd before? I mean, that's sadly that's the way this league works.
Well, I know, but that's what. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying it sucks. Like, if we say we do get an exciting player, he's just gonna be wasted for the first half of a year.
I don't know.
Any player they sign is going to be wasted because there are only going to be like 9-10 games left in the season by the time he finally gets there.
So screw it. Let's not even do it yet.
But
wait till the offseason.
What if that player says, "Hey, I want to be on a team now"?
I know.
Then you lose them over the
Could be
winter.
A really good SKC2 player.
We do have a bunch of players that are out of contract or on options, but you can at least get them integrated with the likes of Shallowy's still under contract next year. Pulido's still under contract next year.
Oh, goody.
Pretty sure Radoya's still under contract for next year. I think Tommy's on an option, but I think you pick that option up. So I don't know. You bring him in, let him get integrated, especially if you have a new coach.
This is weird.
You probably won't have the new coach hired. But
we're talking so matter-of-factly about having a new coach for this team. God, that's just... I hate this. It's so sad. It really is so sad.
It's sad, but it's... At this point, it's hard to see them not.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, they'd
have to go on a crazy run.
It's harder to see this... It's harder to see Vermes finishing this season with the team than it is not at this point.
Well, I don't know that I agree with that because I don't trust that Illig has the balls to shake things up right now.
Man, do you know how ugly... Again, this is not me in any way, shape, or form calling for anybody's job, but if nothing happens with the coaching or the front office or something like that, how ugly will the fans be? I mean, again, this is anecdotal, but I've seen a half a dozen at least say that there are 96ers or 98 people, or they came in 98 or whatever, who have canceled their season tickets.
Yeah.
Well, but you don't even have to wait. I mean, the team came out this last week and said, hey, we're going to start season ticket renewals early.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wonder
I have, well, I mean, actually, it's a fair question about why they're doing it when they're in the midst of this losing streak.
Well, because we're in the Elite Eight of another competition, so we still have something to play for.
That the owner, that one of the owners of this team is on the committee that originally put the proposal out there to not be in the competition.
Yeah.
So so you can't have your cake and eat it too of, hey, we're in the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup, while over here they're saying, hey, let's get out of the U.S. Open Cup. Sorry.
Well, just because he's on the committee doesn't mean he supported it.
That's true, but I
just to be fair, I mean, you made a good point, but to be fair, we don't know that they supported it. We know Vermes has repeatedly said he wants to be in the Open Cup, and he said it publicly, he said it privately to me, all that stuff. So I know I'm very, very confident he wants to play in the Open Cup.
But anyway, back to my point that I was on before we got tangent of the Open Cup. With the fact that they've already said that they're going to start renewals sooner, a lot of my friends have already left being season ticket holders, but a lot of mine that are still season ticket holders have already said, this is it. I'm done at this point. So, I mean, they're not in it. I mean, the fans aren't in a situation. They're already in the situation where they're saying, we've had enough. We're getting out. If Vermes stays, I mean, it goes back to a friend of mine who had wanted to drop his tickets after the Wilkinson thing, and the club's like, no, you've already paid like 60%. You're locked in. We're not giving you any money back for this. So, I mean, if you wait until the end of the season to do it, it's going to be too late for you to back out of your season tickets.
I know. That's a lot of people are making that move. So that's another reason why if management doesn't do something, if ownership doesn't do something to reassure fans that something's going to be better, it's on the fan side, it's going to be worse, at least temporarily, at least for a year or two.
I never thought it would get this bad.
I didn't think it would. I hoped it wouldn't. Again, it is amazing because, I mean, I reiterated earlier that I still think Vermes is a good coach, and there's just a lot of factors that are coming into this. But when it's amazing that for the first time I'm sitting here thinking, okay, what's the new coach going to be like? What's the new, what's the presser going to be like to announce them? What's the, and I'm not saying it's happening. I don't know. I will still, as the fan side of me, I will still root for this team. I've had teams that I've supported in the past that have had some terrible friggin' seasons, man.
Just feels so weird to even be talking about that, a new guy coming in. I just had such an air of superiority over myself for years looking at these other MLS teams that just didn't have that consistency, hated their coach, calling for their coach to be fired, and it was just like, man, that would suck to be in that position.
Well,
it does.
And here we are.
Here's why it's so hard to think about. My oldest just turned 16. He was a year old when Vermes took over as head coach.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a whole almost generation of people who know and doesn't know anybody other than Vermes being the coach. I mean, my daughter is 20, and she doesn't remember Analfo.
Right.
So you have people.
I don't want to remember.
You have people that are potential season ticket holders at this point who don't remember pre-Vermes.
Yeah.
At this point. So, I mean, it's not easy. It's not something that you ever thought you would think about from that aspect, but here we are now discussing it like it's a foregone conclusion.
Ugh. Anyway, we still have some other things to get to here, but I'm going to just end the show right here, and we're going to do a post-game show because there's just kind of a hodgepodge of other stuff, and I don't know how to segue into any of that.
Lighter fare?
I mean, people may want the palate cleanser of this.
Well, then they can listen and give us another download. They can give us another click of this free content they get and give us another set of listens on a post-game show. So that's how I'm going to do that.
All right. Well, that's a damn good idea for the future. Maybe every segment should be a different show. We can get clicks on every one of them.
Well, I know. That's how the Dan Lebitard show does it, and they sneak and get away with all of that, but I don't know. We'll see.
Are you trying to say you have more ethics than the Dan Lebitard show?
I used to do that, but it's also, more editing, more posting, and all of that. I don't know. Post-game show is probably a good idea. We go long enough, and people always want us to go longer, that we should always have...
Yeah. I mean, I don't have to get home for dinner.
Okay. We're going to do a post-game show, and you should please listen to that. Several things on it. Any final thoughts on Peter Vermes and Sporting Kansas City, Thad? Something prophetic, perhaps?
I
Beautiful.
do not want this to happen.
I don't either. I just don't know what else we could possibly do. Everything sucks right now.
Please don't let his last game be against Seattle. Either fire him before Seattle or do it 2 games after. Don't let his final game be Seattle. I don't want
Who's after Seattle?
LA. In LA.
Yeah, I don't want Seattle to kick him out.
No. That would be too circular.
I don't want it to happen.
Yes.
I want things to turn around.
I do too. I would love for them to come out and just kick Seattle's
have
ass.
more
And everybody
fun.
go, oh, where the hell's this team been?
I want fun soccer to watch. That's all I want. If it takes a new coach, then, so be it. But I just want my team to do well.
I want to walk into a locker room and not have everybody just be dead.
Yeah.
Dejected.
Yeah, for real. That's the saddest part of all of these.
Man, I feel for every one of those players, quite honestly. That's, even the players that, like on the analytical side, you say, oh, they're not good enough, they could be gone or whatever. But every one of them, there's nobody in that locker room that's like, hey, I'm just getting paid and I'm happy.
Yeah.
No, regardless of what some people think. There's nobody you walk in there and go, yep, I'm good. They're all dejected. They're all sad.
You can feel it. You can feel the weight in the room.
Well, I mean, you see it on the field with like the final whistle last night about Memo on the ground. Castellanos barely even seen the guys, the Minnesota player coming to shake his hand. I mean, you see it with the players on the field. It's that. And that's the part of me that says maybe they haven't, because back to my story, I've always felt Vermes would be in charge as long as he hadn't lost the locker room, and
I don't even think it's close.
I still do not believe he's lost the locker room.
I don't think there's 1 ounce of evidence to suggest that that's even close to happening.
Yeah, I've seen fans say that it has just because the players don't play well.
Yeah,
but that's
it makes no sense.
Cody, I don't want to go into like what your daily job is, but if you get up in the morning and you don't feel good and you don't get your right coffee or whatever that you do in the morning, and you come into work and you're not in a good mood, do you do a good job? It's hard, and if you get in a grind, man, I've had jobs where I've like worked 12-hour days for 3 or 4 or 5 months, right? And you just get drugged down. That's what these players are right now. They haven't had a positive in how long? When was the last win? A draw was the most recent positive. And you have guys like me walking in every freaking week, twice a week, 3 times a week saying,
so what seems to be the problem?
Yeah, what do you got to do to turn it around? And some of the questions are, I feel bad asking these questions sometimes. I still do it just so there's somebody asking a question, but it's like, hey, why do you suck at your job today? I don't obviously phrase it that way, but it's, what do you got to do to be better? And some of it is like, man, the previous years, like, Peter kept saying, well, we just got to get Pulido back. We got to get Kinda back. And I was a doubtful person then, but you at least saw, that they could, if they got back, improve the team. I don't know what that improvement is now because there's no relief coming right now. They got to do it. And that's what Peter says. They got to do it. It's mental. It's effort. They got to do it.
The images of those players on the field afterwards is what I think should drive people to go out to the stadium and watch this team play still. You guys all used to go watch the Royals when they were like legendarily bad. We can go support our boys. And the fact that they are doing that at the end, I'm still going to be out there. I'll be out there cheering them on because we love our team.
And again, I always have to split my roles in my mind here. The fan side of me loves this team and wants them to be successful and feels for them. And if I wasn't being on the journalism side at all, I would be out there And there was times with the Wizards, man. I'm like, yeah, man, they've given up and they're dead. And I was thinking about killing my season ticket, but I never did. I was pondering it for a long time, like not renewing my season tickets. It was close, and then new ownership came in, and some things were starting to turn around, and so I just kept going. I would still be out there rooting for them. I would maybe miss a game or something, but I would still be out there.
Get out there this weekend, support the badge. Support Johnny Russell. Johnny Russell's not going to quit, and neither should you. Get out there. It's not to support Vermes. Get out there and support Johnny Russell and the badge.
Show up for Kansas City.
Show up for KC. Sporting!
The other side don't seem so tough, and 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm